Hello there, dear friends, and welcome once again to the Relaxed Fantasy Review. Today, we're continuing our series in the Tome of Heroes, talking about the additional races, subclasses, and other features that Kobold Press has added to our favorite tabletop game. And today we're talking about a very, very unique race. The kind of thing that you definitely think about when it comes to how would I design this race. The mushroom lovers will love this. The Mushroomfolk are here. Yes, Mushroomfolk, plant people. These are a very, very cool concept. Very, very myconoid. There's actually monsters in the monster manual that are this kind of creature, but there's not a player race that represents them. And Kobold Press is here to present us with a few different versions of Mushroomfolk. We'll get into the details in just a moment, but before we do, I'd like to let you know, Relaxed Fantasy Review has memberships. For just $1 a month, you can support me here on YouTube and get a couple benefits. First, you get a little badge next to your name in the comments, letting folks know that you're a supporter, but also you get early access to my videos. I upload videos Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I upload them a day early for members only. If that interests you, you can click the join button. It's just below the video down there next to the subscribe button. And I'd love to see you in the comments with your member badges. And if it doesn't interest you, that's totally fine. Just liking the video, subscribing, watching it. Just being here and watching my content is such a wonderful way to support me. I really, really appreciate you being here. Thank you for watching me here on YouTube. So Mushroomfolk. Let's start off with a standardized ability score increase, which you find here a lot in the Tome of Heroes, +2 to Wisdom. Wisdom is one of those mid-range ability scores, works great if you're a wisdom-based caster. There's a lot of good wisdom-based skills. I'd say that as the mental stat goes, it's the middle one, and I say a +2 is an 8 out of 10. Then you've got a 30-foot movement speed, very standard, 9 out of 10, no problem. And you have a very good 60 feet of dark vision. Growing up in caves and whatnot, you definitely would be able to see in the dark. So 10 out of 10, because everybody wants dark vision. And you have the Fungoid Form feature. This gives you advantage against the poison condition, immunity to disease, and resistance to poison damage. There's a lot of races that get this, but it is a solid feature. Poison damage is very common. Disease isn't super common, but having immunity to it's nice. And advantage against the poison condition is really nice as well. So I say 10 out of 10 for Fungoid Form. You have the Hardy Survivor traits. This gives you proficiency in the survival skill, which is a decent skill. Comes up sometimes, and it's wisdom-based, which also works well with your ability score increase. I say 7 out of 10 for that. And then you speak 2 languages, Common and Mushroomfolk. That's perfectly standard. It's a shame you don't get to pick another language, but I still say being bilingual is great, and that's 8 out of 10. Then we have 3 different sub-races. You may have noticed I didn't mention a size. That's because the different sub-races actually come with different sizes, so I'll rate them as we go. The first sub-race is the Acid Cap Mushroomfolk. This one gets a +1 to their strength. A little more of a niche skill. You're either completely building around strength because you're a martial that uses melee weapons, or it's probably a dump stat for you. Most casters and dex-based warriors don't use strength for anything, so I say +1 in that is 6 out of 10. But they are medium size, so none of these small size restrictions. This actually works real good if you want to be a fighter or a frontliner. So 10 out of 10 for being medium instead of small. Then they have Acid Cap Resistance. This actually grants them another damage resistance. Acid, which makes a lot of sense. Acid wouldn't bother you if you were an Acid Cap. So yeah, another 9 out of 10. I love damage resistances, and now we got 2, Poison and Acid. Really good. Then they have an ability called Acid Spores. This is one of those that you can use a few times per day, Constitution modifier times, so this would work great on a Barbarian. When you are hit with a melee attack, so creatures right next to you, they hit you, you can release acidic spores, automatically doing damage equal to half of your level. So, that means you'd be doing a single point of damage at the low levels, but later on in the game it would scale up. It never scales very high though. Like even at the top levels of the game, it's just 10 damage when someone hits you. I think it would have been fine if it was your level rather than half your level. I think it's okay. I think it certainly can give you a little bit of supplemental damage. And like I said, if you're a barbarian, you're probably getting hit a lot anyways. I can see situations this is useful. It's just such a paltry amount of damage. So and if it maybe if it wasn't limited, like this just happened every time you were hit, I could see the low number because then there's no limitation on it, but it just feels too limited. I'm giving it 6 out of 10. Then finally, you get the clan athlete feature. This gives you the athletics proficiency. A second skill proficiency is nice. Athletics is solid. I say 8 out of 10 there. And I'm giving the acid Mushroomfolk overall an 8 out of 10. I think they're good. I think that their spores are a little underwhelming, but other than that, they're fine. Next up, you have the favored Mushroomfolk. This is one of those interesting ones, which means that you've got some kind of like natural charisma to you because you actually get a +1 to your charisma. A charming mushroom person. How fascinating. Charisma's, in my opinion, the best mental stat in the game. It's a shame that it goes with a race that also gets wisdom, but you know, whatever. I say 8 out of 10 for a +1 to charisma. They also are medium size, so they've still got the same buffs of being bigger, none of the small size debuffs. And for the record, there's nothing wrong with being a small size race. It just comes with a couple limitations, mechanically speaking. And I think medium are slightly better. That's why I give it a 10 out of 10. Then they have the Blessed Help trait. This grants them the Spare the Dying cantrip and the Bless spell, which they can cast once per day for free using their charisma. Now the thing is that Spare the Dying and Bless don't have anything to do with your ability modifier, so you don't need charisma. Like your charisma could be 8, it doesn't matter. But Spare the Dying is a decent cantrip. It's not my favorite, but it's, you know, nice to have in a real emergency. But Bless, on the other hand, Bless is one of the best first level spells in the game. It's top tier, and getting it once per day for free is amazing. Throwing this on any character, especially if they're not already a caster, a rogue, a fighter, the kind of person who isn't focused on concentration because they're not a caster, this is absolutely amazing. And even if you are a caster, wizards, sorcerers, warlocks don't naturally get Bless, adding it on and making that your focus is really good. And I think this is 10 out of 10 just because of that. They also get the clan leader feature. This gives them proficiency in persuasion. So now you've got still 2 skill proficiencies, and persuasion's great. My favorite charisma-based skill, and I think that it's 9 out of 10. And then finally, you get the Restful Spores feature. When you take short rests and creatures are using their hit dice to recover their hit points, you can add your proficiency bonus to the hit points recovered. You can only do this once per day for each creature involved, and it's okay. The proficiency bonus isn't high. You know, it's like 3, 4, 6 at the end of the game. And adding just a couple points of extra hit points when you're resting isn't amazing, but it's free. It doesn't cost you anything to do this, and a lot of the time this is going to be effectively another hit dice if creatures have low constitution, maybe slightly lower than that. I don't know. It's nice. I like the theme here, but I'm not a big fan of the execution. Maybe if it was twice your proficiency bonus, or if you could do it on every short rest, it would be cool. But I'm going to give that 7 out of 10. Still, the favored Mushroomfolk, real solid, love Bless, love Persuasion, 9 out of 10 for them. Then finally, you have the Morel Mushroomfolk. The Morel Mushroomfolk are the small ones. Yes, they get a +1 to their dexterity because they're the agile types, and dexterity is arguably the best skill in the game, the one that benefits so many pillars of play, and I say it's an 8 out of 10 for a +1. And they are small size, so I'm going to say that's 9 out of 10, just slightly below the medium-sized brethren. But they do make up for that with their speed. Instead of the 30-foot speed, they have a 35-foot speed. That's fantastic. Being faster is really beneficial in so many situations in D&D. I say 10 out of 10 for that. Then they have a feature called Adaptable Camouflage. If they take 1 minute while they're in a certain environment, they can change the way they look to adapt to the plants and natural fungi for the environment. As long as they stay in that environment for the rest of the day, they have advantage on their stealth checks. That's really nice. It only takes a minute. It doesn't have to happen during a long or short rest. And you get this benefit for 24 hours. And if you stay in the environment for longer than that, you could just take another minute and do it again. There's no limit after that. I think this is great. I think that advantage on stealth is really helpful. It means that your stealthiness is already being boosted by your dex. This just makes it even better. 9 out of 10. And then on top of that, you have the Clan Scout feature, which gives you proficiency in stealth. Fantastic. That's 10 out of 10. Stealth is one of my favorite skills in the whole game. I think it's genuinely top 3 when it comes to skill proficiencies. It comes in handy all the time. So 10 out of 10 there. So yeah, the Morel are just straight up the sneaky ones. Dex, extra speed, camouflage. If you're a rogue and you take expertise in stealth as well, you are absolutely made for this role. And still, anybody could benefit from this. I say the Morels are 9 out of 10 as well. Overall, the Mushroomfolk present a very fun trifecta of races. The frontliner, who's releasing spores, resisting damage, and gets extra strength. The party face, who's got charisma, bless, persuasion, extra rest, that's very bard themed. And the Morel, sneaky, fast, and just fantastic at being like a roguish character. You've got all your bases met here. I think that a party of Mushroomfolk would be so much fun. Throw their dark vision, their extra wisdom that they get, their resistance to poison. You've got a fantastically built race. Not too powerful, but very, very good. And I highly recommend that if this speaks to you, that you talk to your dungeon master about including them from the Tome of Heroes in your game. I think you'll have a great time. This has been the Relaxed Fantasy Review. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe down below. Have a look for the join button down there, as well as a link that I'll leave in the description for the Tome of Heroes, published by Kobold Press. It's a fantastic third-party addition to D&D 5e, and I highly recommend you check it out for yourself. Have a good one, my friends.